Wars break out all over the cylinder that could seal the fate of some civs, and everyone decides that a certain color just sucks. This is the Civilization Battle Royale X, Season 5, Episode 9, Wartime Blues. Hello everyone, and welcome to Episode 9 of the Civ Battle Royale Season 5. My name is Viver, and I'll be your narrator for this week. I used to follow the CBR back during Mark II, but I fell off around when X1 started. I came back toward the tail end of X4, just in time for Total War, and have been active ever since. It's been a lot of fun, and this season has been so cool so far. This will be my first time narrating, and I'm excited to get into it with all of you. If you've read the part, then I apologize for all the terrible puns in the slide titles. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not sorry at all. Here's JDT's nice edit, inspired by Ryukyu's miraculous self-revival. We thought they were goners, but we were fools. Another good comic from Orange Chrissy, giving us the lore on why Tlingit would effectively give away their city for free. The show is kept running by our awesome donators. Join the CBR Ko-Fi for cool perks and get your name on this very screen. And don't forget to rep your favorite Civ, too. One of the biggest climbers this week is Luba, who, with the capture of Mankamba, have turned wide. We start this week's action with a look at the Uail and Scotland cores. Since last we saw them, Uail settled Burasul on a one-tile island. They also have another settler on the move. Maybe they won't overshoot Greenland with this one? Meanwhile, the League and the Union have invented a new sport, which seems to be some sort of a race for whose settler can cross the North Sea the fastest. Place your bets now. Not content with sitting still for too long, Cebu declares war on Ternate. Their units aren't really in position for an attack, however. On the other hand, most of Ternate's navy seems to be vacationing by those Polynesian islands. Looks like Babula's going to have to cut that short to defend their home. Green Ukraine has fully swarmed Tongchuan, with just a lone catapult there to defend. The city hasn't taken that much damage yet, but I doubt that will remain the case for long. Kaifeng is also looking rather surrounded, though no damage has been done yet. Tang has some backup sitting fortified in Chengdu. They should probably start mobilizing those units to help defend. Who am I to decide what they should do, though? You go do whatever you want, Taizong. I'm sure it'll end up working out in your favor anyway. Wouldn't it be awesome if I could say something exciting about the nth Pegu-Yunnan War right now? Something like, whoa, Pegu coming in out of nowhere with the capture of Geiji. Yunnan is scrambling. I'm not sure they'll be able to recover. Unfortunately, I can't say that. They pieced out, once again, with absolutely nothing of note happening. On the other hand, Ryu has taken a bit of damage, presumably from some Bangladeshi boats. On the Scythia-Vyatka front, things are looking more exciting. Vyatka has recaptured Nikolitsin, but it's not looking at all certain that they'll be able to hold on to it. Dimkovo is also getting peppered, and Kotelnik is in the red. Slobodskoy is also facing a pretty big assault. Let's see if Scythia can follow through and make some real gains here. Ryukyu is looking real barren after their miraculous self-revival last week. They'll be around for as long as Tang allows it. A zombified Shoshin is reported to be wandering the streets of Nanzan at night, mumbling something about coffins, a big screen, a simulation. Yunnan and Raoran are so horrified by the sight of this, they promptly declare war on Ryukyu. That's a nice-looking flotilla of triremes for Tlingit. They could probably make good use of it to take some cities, but they seem content with just hanging back for now. They have also settled the new-ish city of Huna. It's on the coast. What else did you expect? A lone Ryukyu trireme sails the Tlingit coasts. The last order they got from their ruler was to get the hell out of there, so they did, the remnants of their burning homeland behind them. As far as they know, they are the only remnants of the Ryukyu Empire left. You might have already noticed in the notification bar, but here we see it live. Yanomami makes peace with Zavante and Teotihuacan. Yanomami times it just right, piecing out while holding the flip fest of a city called Cholula. At the very top of the screen, we can see an ambitious Karankawa settler looking to establish control of Florida. Somehow, Portugal has regained control of Aveiro, and I'm not sure if France can muster enough strength to take it again. Porto looks pretty secure for them, though. Robespierre has established a great foothold in Iberia for himself, which will be hugely beneficial for potential future Portugal-eating endeavors. Biarmia sends out a pretty decent invasion force, although Shabelinskoe hasn't taken too much damage as of yet. Hopefully, for Biarmia, their units don't get too distracted by other cities. After an intense shouting match full of shocking and surprising insults hurled at each other, Pakistan and Karachitai call it a day and make peace. The insults will probably not stop. That wasn't part of their war to begin with. And Pakistan is eyeing a cozy spot between the mountains for their next settlement. We can also see an attempted offensive at Mysore's city of Karwar, but I don't see that going anywhere right now. Byblos looks like it's firmly in Circassian hands now. Luckily for Phoenicia, their very minimal military is mostly concentrated on Tyre, with their spearmen providing a solid defense against the many Circassian horses trampling the place. A Sumerian and a Circassian settler have an intense stare-down. That tense moment could be ruined at any time, though. Both settlers are vulnerable to enemy units. Scythia delivers, capturing Kotelnik from Vyatka. Nikolitsin falls to black, and it and Slobodskoy might just fall next turn. Dimkovo is in the yellow, although a peacekeeping Scottish, I think, scout is making things a bit harder for Ateas there. Some big action in the Sahara, as Ores declares war on Wasulu. A big army is approaching Kabadougou, and Samori Toure's options for reinforcement are limited. On the Ores defense, Damugadi is very lightly defended, though there really aren't that many Wasulu forces nearby, so it'll probably be fine for them. The more worrying point for Ores is Ad Medias in the west. Honestly, I am all for anything that helps resolve the horrifying West African border war. Also, I count 8 settlers roaming the Sahara, even though there's only room for like 3 more cities here. Better hurry up if you still want to plant your flag here, guys. We get a look at the tranquil Hawaiian Islands, now featuring the recent Pomo settle of Kulanapo. What a chill and peaceful place. There are also a bunch of Ternate triremes who might have missed the war memo and are still enjoying their relaxing vacation. A bunch of Susquehannock triremes have sailed a long, long way and are doing heavy damage to the Anishinaabe city of Muniang. Considering the fact that there's only a sad little catapult defending, this city won't last for too long. If they want to, they could even sail on and try to go for Saginaw as well. A wild barbarian has appeared in the middle of Tang's lands. I think that means that Tang is facing major happiness issues, getting so low that rebel units have started spawning. Nothing their military can't handle, of course, but being this unhappy can become a pretty big issue for them if they don't get it sorted out real quick. We get a look at Australia with their novel north-south split of the land. Something worth pointing out, thank you JDT, is that Banuba have taken control of the Uluru tile. However, the tile is outside of working range of their cities. This means that they won't get any of the tile yields, instead just getting a global happiness boost. Here's the heart of Mysore's empire, who have nicely settled the south cone of India. Their carpet of units could have been pretty useful up north, though. Pakistan is sending another settler around south. With the Pegu boats coming in to defend, Reo is looking safe and sound against the Bangladeshi attack. Watch out for those Lanfang boats from the other side, though. Religion map. At a quick glance, it looks like Hyksos has the most cities following their Set cultists. But, Set isn't even that interesting of a category. There's, no structure there. I'd like to see some GRP cultists next time. Dumb math jokes aside, it's tough competition for religion in North America especially. Some nerds who are smarter than me will probably have more interesting things to say about this map. The Kipchaks, deciding that they prefer things colder, have ventured a settler all the way up to the frigid north, settling Gere in the snow. Should be free for the taking for the Ket, should they ever decide they want an extra city. The Pegu settler has ventured to the very north of the map. They are now trying to find out a way to go beyond the creepy black void that's blocking their path. Surely there are incredibly fertile lands there, just waiting for Pegu citizens to work them. Hyksos has a cute little core, and they have managed to squeeze Wajet in just east of Naf. They have a bunch more settlers wandering around, but I don't think there's any more room nearby. On the side, we can also see that Circassia is not making much progress against Phoenicia. The Cheese Pope is giving his best to try and take Sidon, but that's going nowhere either. Estonia has decided they also don't like Wassoulu, so they symbolically declare war on them. It's a good excuse for us to look at their core. Cheng-In is a new addition here, and I don't think there's any more room for new cities now. After some chill slides to check out some empires, we return to action as Luba also joins in on the war against Wassoulu. They're pretty far out, and probably won't achieve much here, but at least it feels a bit more realistic than Estonia's declaration. Luba could probably make some gains if they were to declare war on their direct neighbors of Zazal, but fighting those two Wassoulu triremes is also important. Sure. If we pretend that this is the only fighting in the Ores-Wassoulu conflict, things are looking very favorable for Samori Ture. He has Admerias surrounded with units, with no Ores defense in sight. I'll be honest, embarking your chariot might not be that useful, but with enough units they should be able to whittle this city down to 0. As I said, if this helps resolve some of the border gore here, I'm all for it. Sumeria has mobilized a pretty solid force against Main, though the mountains make things pretty hard for them. Given the frankly kind of pathetic Manaean military, given enough time, Sumeria would probably win. To aid their defensive cause and attempt to prolong their existence just a bit, Main have recruited Janus Balodis to their side. Historically, Balodis served for the Russian Empire before joining the army of the newly established Republic of Latvia in 1918. A double city capture, as Scythia captures both Nikolitsin and Slobodskoy from Vyatka. With just a composite bowman nearby, Slobodskoy looks unlikely to be flipped back. However, Vyatka might still have something to say about Nikolitsin. Dimkovo is starting to look pretty exposed as well. This war is turning out very well for Scythia. In more boring news, Scotland has also joined the anti-Wassoulu dogpile. Banuba turns Ternate's war into a two-front affair, and they've come in ready to brawl. Already Dodinga is at half health, and it's surrounded by Banuba's boats. Ternate's navy is seemingly still out vacationing somewhere else. I'm not sure Jandamar is going to be able to make any gains besides Dodinga, though, unless they mobilize their navy over to Sirangoli. The Lanfang navy has joined the fight against Reu, meaning the city's in some real danger of falling now. They are led by Admiral Artemisia. Historically, she was Queen of Halicarnassus, and she personally commanded ships during the naval battle of Artemisium. Over in Africa, Herero declares war on Luba. Uh-oh, Wassoulu's in real trouble now, as the Ket have now joined the coalition against them. While this is obviously not of any consequence, we do get a nice look at the Ket core, which they've been building out nicely, padding the area with plenty of cities. And they have 3 more settlers on the way, too. They're also slowly spreading their religion, which will make their cities harder and harder to take as it spreads more. As a reminder, they get +1 city strength for every city following their religion. The Pegu settler, mad that the Black Void was impassable, has gone back to land. Maybe we'll see a little snow city from them. Anishinaabe have padded out their core with Bawatigong, and Shigagwe is looking solidly theirs. Pomo is mounting an offensive on Wawatianong, but there's some solid defenses around in the area. On the right side, just behind the notifications, we can see that Muniang is in the red, but the Susquehannock boats seem to have forgotten what they were supposed to be doing there. All in all, the triple threat against Anishinaabe has not done a lot for the aggressors. The Papal States also decide that Wasulu smells. At this rate, who isn't at war with Wasulu? In real life, the Xavante are known for collaborating with a heavy metal band to make an album. In the CBR, they opt for a very different genre, getting jazz legend Billie Holiday on their side. As far as I know, this is the first great musician we've seen. We also see the Chorale Corps, which seems to have focused a good amount on building up their navy. The Union gets there first before the League, winning the North Sea race. Their prize is getting to settle Sigtuna on a 2-tile tundra island. I've seen better prizes, but you gotta take what you can get. A dejected League settler treks on, looking for other places to settle. Artemisia leads her fleet well as they capture Reu from Pegu. There's not a lot of Pegu boats around, so it's looking to stay yellow. Saduim looks like it might be in some trouble now too, provided the Lanfang boats don't get distracted by the units around the Pegu capital. Portugal and France make peace, with the French ending up with Aveiro after all. This was a very good war for Robespierre. João might be trying a bit harder than Maria, but it's not looking great for his long-term prospects. Phoenicia and Circassia also call things off, with a clear Circassian victory, gaining Byblos from this war. This really cuts Phoenicia in half, with their eastern holdings looking pretty difficult to hold on to, should someone like Pakistan or Bactria decide they don't like Phoenicia. Maybe Hiram will use this time of relative peace to finally build up some military units? The Phoenician settler seems to have been captured by Circassia, by the way. We also see a notification that Scythia has once again captured Nikolitsin, which was apparently flipped back by Vyatka off-screen. Steady progress is being made by Bjarmia against Shabelinskoe. They might pull off the capture here, though there's some resistance from Vyatka left. The Wrigley Roran boys also hate Wasulu. Pakistan has settled Gujranwala, though they might want to reinforce it considering those Bactrian units near the border. On the east side of their empire, there's a stare-down between the Pakistan and Mysore armies. Will this turn into action anytime soon? Also, check out Karachi on 30 population. I'm not sure there's other cities as big as that, though admittedly, I am not paying attention. Fashion designer Paco Rabanne decides to bring his designing talents to New South Wales. They'll be walking around in pretty clothes there very soon. According to John MacArthur, this is an integral part of their strategy to end up victorious. The Battle of Bad North American Civs starts, as Karankawa declares war on Ponca. I doubt Karankawa is going to be able to make any gains. If anything, it'll just soften them up to make a future offensive from Teotihuacan easier. Hey, at least they're trying to do something about their situation. The Ores military has brought Cabadogo down to the red. The city looks sure to fall soon. Some Wasolo units make a desperate attempt at Vescara, but it ends up looking pretty sad. The Pegu boats have disappeared, but perhaps that one spearman could flip Reu one more time. Admiral Artemisia, meanwhile, has decided to go sightseeing in Hong Sawatoy during an active war. You could call it strategic scouting, too, if you want. Indeed, as the Ores turn is processed, they capture Cabadogo. I don't think Wasolo has any chance of getting it back. On the west side, Admedius is holding on, and if Wasolo keeps those units embarked, there's not a great chance of taking the city. Surely it's part of their master plan, just like turning the entire cylinder against them. And as we saw in the notification last slide, Banuba has captured Dodinga. There's also a solid army headed toward a barely defended Sidangoli, but there really aren't enough land tiles for all those units to stand on. They'd better get their boats over there fast if they want to have a chance at taking the city. Ternate is unbothered and gets ready to settle another city on the front lines of the war. I recommend against this. A Japanese fleet led by Marc-Joseph Marion Dufresne explores the islands in the Pacific. The Ternate Navy seems to have finally received the war message and are begrudgingly heading home, their vacation cut short. The Ket team up with Kalmar as they get into a kerfuffle with the Kipchaks in some real K-on-K action. The Ket claim they are the most special K, meaning they should be the ones holding Kara, and perhaps Ak, if that counts as a K city. A small army is headed out of Kangatovo to knock the Kipchaks down a peg. The Kipchak defense is led by Al-Manzor, historically the Chancellor of the Caliphate of Cordoba. A C is almost a K, right? The force surrounding Tongchuan has vanished. Poof. Gone. Where did it go? Who knows? Somehow the city is on full health. Kaifeng is taking some damage, but a bunch of those green Ukraine units have overshot the fighting, pushing way further than is probably wise right now. Surely they can gain something out of this war, right? The city of Svobodny is new, at least. The Ponca make peace with Onondaga. I didn't even realize they were at war, to be honest. We get to look at the tiny Ponca corps, and, as expected, all that Karankawa is doing is throwing their units into a meat grinder. If all that's left of those units is their fingers, they're probably dead. That's not a great result for them. A few Zoragwa triremes harass Washatun, but there's no great shot of them actually taking the city. The Kissing Birds also recruit Great Admiral Zhu Fu. Zhu Fu was historically a court sorcerer in the Qin dynasty. He was sent by Qin Shi Huang to find the elixir of immortality. He never returned from his second voyage. Perhaps he found some kind of dimensional portal, leading him to end up some 2,000 years in the future inside of a Civ AI simulation. That's not a fate I'd want to have, honestly. The Karankawa settlers are still deciding whether they want to settle Florida or not. I get it. It's a big decision. Take all the time you need. Green Ukraine, what? I don't know what to say here. Those Tang diplomats are on another level, man. Saduim is almost fully surrounded by enemy ships, and won't hold on for much longer. Logically, it would end up in Lanfang hands, but maybe Bangladesh can snipe it. Admiral Artemisia, wearing some suspiciously Pegu-themed souvenirs, decides that they should strategically not bother with Hongsawa Toi for now. To celebrate the success of Scythia's war efforts, Ateas smokes some good stuff with his priestesses. They advise him that the power should be with the people, as Scythia declares itself a republic. The only vulnerable-looking city from Scythia here is Nikolitsin, but there's only a single Vyatkin melee unit in sight, so I'm not sure it'll be flipped again. New South Wales Navy is now fronted by Peter Vessel Tardenskold. He was a Dano-Norwegian Navy officer whose greatest exploit was to destroy a Swedish supply fleet. On the top right of the screen, we see that Ternate has settled Galela, which instantly starts getting harassed by Banuba boats. It might actually buy them some time to reinforce Sidangoli. We take a look at the meat grinder that is the Potawara Zavante War. Bet you forgot about that one, huh? I did at least, because literally nothing has happened. The recent Kipchak settle of Garay is getting attacked by a bunch of Ket units, and it looks like it will fall soon. That army seems a bit overkill, honestly. Could have sent like half of those units to the south, where the Kipchaks are actually putting up a fight. Pegu settler update, deciding whether they should settle this bit of snow or the snow just over there. Byarmia has put Shabelinskoye in the black. There are no melee units next to the city, but if they can get a spearman to move nearby, they could take it. In other big news, Byarmia decides that one war isn't enough, so they decide to go in for another round with Estonia. They really don't have a lot of units ready to fight here, and if anything, those Estonian spearmen near Shabelinskoye could hinder their effort of taking the city. Ternate and Cebu make peace after a rather uneventful war. Maybe Cebu got intimidated by the sight of great General Rafael del Riego. Del Riego led a military uprising in Spain that led to the Trienio Liberal, a 3-year period between 1820 and 1823, where a liberal government ruled the country. The vacation fleet now needs to hurry south to help defend against the Banuba invasion. After Wasulu, it turns out the new blue civ to hate is Estonia. We have Main, Pegu, and Seychelles joining the coalition. I don't think there will be any problems for Estonia here, even if their direct neighbors join in. Ternate retakes Dodinga, using a horseman, which upon closer inspection was sneakily hiding behind the Biarmia Estonia DOW in Slide 62. This might get rougher for Jandamara than intended, since his boats have already mostly moved on to other targets, and there's a pretty sizable force now working to defend Dodinga. On the front lines of the recently declared Herero-Luba War, not much progress is being made by either side. We do see a bunch of horses surrounding Kabongo. Seems like Jacob Morenga really loves his horses, huh? Like half of his military consists of them. The Kalmar Union, not wanting to be left out of the latest anti-blue trend, joins the war on Estonia. There's a decent force around Vasa, but I'm not sure if it'll be enough to pierce Narva. This must be why Estonia gave away Rakvere to Hansa. They saw this coming and didn't want to feel the humiliation of a city getting taken from them. A sizable Corral fleet is approaching Teotihuacan coasts. There's a couple of Teotihuacan boats there to meet them head-on, though. They certainly have ambitions, you have to admit. If they break through, they might be able to harass Waka. Off-screen, Nikolitsin is flipped once again by Vyatka. Seems like that one spearman reached it after all. Bolstered by their success, Ores targets Turunku next. There is no opportunity for reinforcement from Wasulu, so we will probably see this city flip soon. That's what happens when you allow Ores to cut your empire in half. Having made peace with Phoenicia, Circassia directs some of their forces towards the Sumerian capital of Lagash. The Sumerian army is probably still distracted with attacking Main, or they're all banging their hot wives. This could turn out bad for Sumer. Circassia, Bangladesh, and Yunnan also join in on the new anti-blue coalition. Seriously, what did those guys do wrong? Bangladesh ends up being the one to take Saduin. No Pegu units are anywhere close, so it looks like Pegu's dreams of island hopping are over. Artemisia, realizing she probably got scammed in the Hong Sawatoy gift shop, orders a naval invasion of the city in response. A bunch of Bangladeshi units are also approaching by land. This could spell real trouble for Pegu if they don't manage to peace out very soon. Seeing that Lanfang is distracted by a war in the north, New South Wales attempts to capitalize and declare war on them. There doesn't seem to be a lot of room to reach the Lanfang cities because of the Banuba cities in the way. On top of that, there's some peacekeeping Bangladeshi boats blocking the way too. I like the ambition here, John MacArthur, but I don't think much will come of this. Tired of Pakistan's constant complaining about making too much noise at night, Sumer declares war on them. Simply speaking, this is incredibly stupid. This means that Sumer is now facing two fronts, while the bulk of their army is distracted, fighting another war. If Pakistan can mobilize properly, they could make good gains here. Looks like I spoke too soon earlier. Hubdon goes down to yellow, and Karankawa's army looks like it could win the city, given a bit more time. Even if they win the city, it's not going to do a lot for their winning chances, but at least they make themselves more interesting. The outpost of Garay has, as expected, been captured by the Ket. Olgit's going to want to move all of those units south now, if he wants to have a chance at taking Kara. The Kipchaks seem to think that settlers are useful for fighting, using 2 of them to help defend Ak. Pegu settler, back in the water. After a thorough investigation, they have concluded that snow just isn't their vibe. The Zavante and Potawara make peace, satisfied that the trees are now stained red with blood. That's how South America goes, isn't it? Ores gets Turunku down to red, so they'll probably be able to pick up the city soon. On the other side of the Sahara, Admedius looks to fall soon to Wasolo. Overall, I doubt Dihya is going to complain about this 2-for-1 city trade. I'm just feeling happy that the border gore here is about to be fixed within a single war. To add to Viatka's already disastrous episode, Biarmia follows through and takes Shabelinskoye. With just a composite bowman standing next to the city, odds of it being retaken are slim. On the left side, we see an Estonian army making their way to Biarmian territory. This could be a problem, as they outnumber the defense by quite a bit. Seems like Lennart Meri felt emboldened by the entire cylinder declaring war on him. About 3/4 of the way through, we finally get a shot of the glorious one-city Rapa Nui Empire. They have put a few spearmen on some islands who have been ordered to pretend they're cities. I don't think anyone's going to fall for it. Maybe build an actual settler, Hotu Matua. To turn their fortunes around, they enlist the help of Steve Jobs. Perhaps this will increase their stock value. I recommend investing. I am not liable for any potential losses. Turunku falls to Ores, and remaining Wasolo units are dwindling. A single swordsman could be their last hope for retaking the city, but that won't last. Wasolo's play to take Turunku from Zazao in the first place was great, but it was just too out of reach to properly hold on to. Scythia and Viatka make peace, with Viatka miraculously holding on to Nikolitsin. That really could have easily been taken by Scythia, but gaining 2 cities is a great result for them nonetheless. Viatka still has plenty of cities left, but this is a big blow for them. Time to lick your wounds and rebuild. There's always next time. Well, that was uneventful. Luba and Herero peace out before anything could even take place. A disappointing war for all involved. We get a look at the Roran Corps, with plenty of wriggling riders wriggling their way through the land. A bunch of settlers mill about, looking for some space to put down a new city. Wow, Japan actually settled northern Honshu? They waited a bit too long, though, as the Ital men managed to put down Toren in the very north. I know people have been complaining about Japan not settling to the north. Is this good enough for you guys? It's something, right? Biarmia makes peace with Viatka, securing Shabelinskoye for themselves. 2 brave Estonian spearmen would like to have a say about that, though. I don't fancy their chances. On the left, Estonia continues their steady advance towards Biarmian lands. Admedius falls to Wasolo. Ah, look at those non-gory borders. What a beautiful sight. Makes me feel at peace inside. The Susquehannock invasion of Muniang has completely evaporated, save for 1 low HP trireme. I'll admit, I had bigger expectations here. I have no idea what happened to that attacking fleet. Onondaga settles Onondatasett on some frozen islands, because why would you settle the wide open forest, close to home? Ethiopia selects Wasolo as their lumpy blue civ to declare war on. They think this has nothing to do with them. They try to tell the world that they take themselves too seriously to care about who they declare war on. But what they don't know is that Wasolo is not just blue. It's not cerulean. It's actually coral. They are also blithely unaware of the fact that in 175 AD, Dihya did an invasion of Wasolo. And then I think it was Lennart Meri who joined the coalition. And then Wasolo quickly showed up in the war declarations of 5 different civilizations. And then it filtered down through the mid-tier civs, and then trickled on down into some tragic rump state, where Ethiopia, no doubt, fished a war declaration out of some clearance bin. And it's sort of comical how they think they've made a choice that exempts them from the war industry, when, in fact, they're declaring war on a civ that was selected for them by the other leaders on this cylinder from a pile of blue civs. Apologies, I got carried away completely. In terms of what's actually happening on this slide, there's actually still room for a city or two around where those Ethiopia and Luba settlers are having a staring contest. Will it really matter if you blink first, if that makes you the first to settle a city? Sumer is now dealing with the full wrath of 2 angry neighbors. Lagash is almost fully surrounded with units, though the city itself hasn't taken any damage yet. On the eastern side, a large Pakistan force is knocking on the door of Uruk. I don't think they're going to wait for Sumer to open the door for them. A wave of yellow encroaches on Pegu lands, with the first land units starting to make landfall near Mutama. Bangladesh is applying pressure as well. That defense does not inspire much confidence, Pegu. It's time to start praying to whoever it is that you worship. Bunuba captures the fresh Ternate settle of Galela, as well as having retaken Dodinga somewhere since we last got a shot of this war. In response, Chono declares war on them. That's the first time I get to mention Chono, which is sad to say for me as a Chono supporter. Much more relevantly, though, New South Wales also declares war on Bunuba. We don't have a clear picture of the front lines, but that's something exciting to look forward to for next episode. Hansa decides to join in on the anti-Estonia coalition and quickly starts harassing Train-In. Neither side looks too interested in this war, however, given the lack of units at the front. Maybe Lennart Meri will decide to gift Hansa another city as a treat. Karankawa, feeling so guilty for even dealing some damage to Hubdon in what was supposed to be a peaceful and uneventful meat grinder, makes peace and gives away Koko while they're at it. This is incredibly baffling. They had Ponka in the red. They were going to capture the city. And instead they give a city away? Oh, Civ AI. Never change. Tlingit sends a few units toward Shigagwe, but it's barely an actual effort. A bunch of Anishinaabe units march towards Pomo lands, but not a lot is coming out of it as of yet. Tlingit has also settled a one-tile snow island with Angon. It's certainly a choice. And to finish off this episode, we see Wallachia continuing to refuse to declare war on a direct neighbor. At least Estonia's a bit closer. You'll do it next time, Vlad. Wallachia's empire is carpeted in mostly chariots. Burning a bunch of those would benefit them greatly. Maybe it'll get their science back to double digits again. And with that, I have been Viver. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I had a lot of fun narrating for the first time.